So you may or may not know that when you put steel in Sparex, which is the pickle we use, sodium bisulfate, it plates everything in copper inside the pickle, which generally is viewed as kind of a bad thing. You know, if you've got silver and you put it in a pickle that's been contaminated with steel and it copper plates it, you'd be pretty mad. But we can use this information to our advantage in certain situations. What situation would that be, Stina? You might be asking. Well, for example, I have this chain and you can see that it's got little places where you can see the silver solder, and they're flat, they're not blobs, but I could spend my time sanding all of that off, or I can cover it up by plating it, which is what I'm gonna do, and you get to watch. This is the crock pot where we keep our pickle, our Sparex acid, otherwise known as sodium bisulfate. We keep it warm. It's more effective that way. So I'm just gonna take a little bit out of here. This works best when the pickle is really blue and spent, and this one's actually just been changed, but never fear, I can still make it work. I've got my safety glasses on. I've got a container here and a secondary container to protect from drips. And I'm just going to scoop some out. That's just gonna be enough to put my chain into. I don't need a whole lot. And I'm going to take it to the ventilation booth. Okay, so I've got my pickle in here. I've got it on this tray so that any spillage will be easy to clean up and neutralize later. The other thing you need is some steel. This is just steel wool. You can use binding wire, any sort of steel that's not stainless steel. And then I have some tongs to get my piece back out. And I've got my piece. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put the chain in. Now, because of the nature of my piece, I want to keep this solder seam. So I'm not going to, I'm going to see if I can prevent that from going in there. That solder seam out. And then I'm going to turn the vent on, so it's going to be loud. But before I do that, I'm going to just explain. I'm going to tear off some steel wool and put it in there. The vent, just, you know, you don't want to breathe stuff in if you don't have to. Use the tongs and really push it down in there. You want to get it all around your copper if you can. So some in the back. Here in the front. Really get it down in there. And you have to let it sit for a minute. And you can see the steel start to turn copper color, and that's when you really know it's working. When you have pickle that's very spent, that's very blue, it'll turn green, and you'll really be able to see it then too. But you see the steel bolts changing. Just trying to keep that solder seam out of there as best I can. Now we just give it a little bit. It doesn't take very long, just like when you put something in the pickle to be clean. You just have to leave it for a little bit. It's the same thing here, and we'll be back. Alright, we're back. It's been approximately 20 minutes. You notice this whole time I haven't touched the liquid with my hands. Just as the best practices sort of thing, I would put gloves on before touching the liquid. So you can see now it's all that solder, or most of that solder is covered with copper. However, this was dipped in acid, so I need to neutralize it by dipping it in a solution of baking soda and water, which is over by the sink, so I'll be right back. Okay, I have neutralized that and rinsed it. Now I need to do the same with this pickle. Even though it is a light acid, it's still an acid, and I need to neutralize it before I pour it down the drain. This cannot go back in the pickle pot because it is contaminated. So I just take some baking soda, put some on my materials over there too, and you just keep putting baking soda in until it stops bubbling.